The center of Purim is this very strange phrase. You can find it in the Megillah, in the scroll, where a day that was supposed to be one of mourning and terror for Jews turns into one of celebration and actual frivolity. If you know how communities typically observe Purim, there is a tradition to be very lighthearted and to wear masks and to give each other gifts. The traditions of Purim actually include also giving money directly to someone in need, giving food of two different kinds to someone else so they can offer two blessings, hearing the Megillah, having a Suda, a meal. But the theme of the day is called Nafochu. Everything flips on its head. The day that was going to be terrible turned into something that was good. But what I wanted to do is reflect on a way in which we could use the theme of Purim as a response to Purim and maybe even a way of moving forward in the world. The challenge of the Megillah itself, and there are many, is that in response to the threat of violence against a marginalized people, a subgroup in a community, for fear of being persecuted, the Jews of the Persian Empire gained permission not only to defend themselves, but to act violently against those who would have been violent to them. It's a natural impulse when you're in trauma and threatened. Well, why not arm ourselves and do worse harm to them than they were going to do to us? And then, in fact, towards the end of the story of Esther, the scroll, the Megillah itself, we ask for an extra day to not only defend ourselves, but to act in self-defense, but to attack those who would have attacked us. And in our world today, where you can't possibly ignore the fact that everyone is a marginalized population, everyone feels vulnerable, the alienation feels very constant, we could apply Purim in all the wrong ways. We could apply Purim and say, well, I feel vulnerable, and therefore what I need to do is prepare to be violent to protect myself, to be violent to someone else. And that would be consistent, unfortunately, with a worldview of Purim, where if I'm okay, you're not. In order for me to ascend in power within an empire, I need to make sure that someone else that would threaten me is put down. How about instead we apply the Nafochu message, the turn it on its head message, to Purim itself? Instead of saying, for me to be safe, you need to be unsafe, how about we say the exact opposite? In order for me, in all of my emotional vulnerability, my physical vulnerability, in order for me to be okay, I have to ensure that you're okay. Because it's really just a matter of turn taking. Everyone is vulnerable, and the world changes so fast that to presume otherwise is to ignore history. Look at what this week has meant for the Jewish community, for the Muslim community, really for anyone in all the corners of the world. We will do better when we stand together proactively, knowing that if you're safe, I stand a better chance of being safe. And if I'm safe, I can do my best to protect you too. There is no reason to see violence as the answer to vulnerability. And in fact, all evidence points in the opposite direction. So nafochu, friends, let's turn Purim on its head and learn that violence is never the answer. It doesn't make this world better, not in the long term for the vulnerable in the moment, and not in the long term for those even who think that they're safe. In order for us to be safe, we have to be safe, all of us together. Happy Purim, everyone.